Hello everyone, I'm hoping that the feed works correctly today. Fingers crossed, otherwise I'll have to revert back to the phone. We are moving into Mercury retrograde in Cancer. I'm doing a check-in today, and that is for Divine Masculine's current situation. Now, these will resonate regardless of you're in communication, you're in the connection, or the zero zilch, okay? And the reason I know that is because I'm in union and I have seen the synchronistic messages, depending on who you go to. There's always this dual energy that comes through. Now, we've got the first wave, the second wave, is third wave. Now, as for the first and second wave, is you guys going through, be it your masculine or feminine, you're going through a very unique transformation at the moment. So you will find, you know, at a pocket of the journey, readings won't directly resonate with you. And it's more to do with the fact that you have, you're moving through a kind of a wormhole, so to speak. So you're more, it's actually quite positive. More so from the perspective that you're preparing, you're in detachment, you're in alignment, and you're just very much in this one moment. And it's very important to actually get to that space. It's part of the process. You do find you can reach union much quicker when you're in that frequency. When we are blocked and we are stumbling, we're usually moving through the third eye, you know, the egoic state, the healing and things to that degree. So there can be lags in the situation around that time. Also, in a deeply transformative state, you'll find there can be synchronistic subject matters that will come up in your life, and it'll be patterns that that are playing out in your 3D life. It will directly resonate with what is going on in Divine Masculine or Feminine's life, and it's sort of like this dual energy of transformation coming up. Now, I've pulled the cards, and I have had downloads, so I'll tune into the downloads. Now, energetically speaking, hi Dale. You know, I even channeled a beautiful friend of mine who is a twin, and I channeled the energy of her twin this morning, and I feel it's pretty dual, actually. And the first, which the person who, you know, I gave the little mini read to, she knows who she is. The first energy that came through was Perplexed. I can't even pronounce it right. I'm seeing Divine Masculines in a current situation. It's almost when you've gone through an awakening and you're looking at behavioural patterns, and you're trying to put your finger on why something has happened. Feminines, you guys have really gone through this, where you go through this transformation and you kind of, you've gained clarity as to the reasons why you do things, and you just get to a space where you're actually looking at the other people around you as a law of attraction energy, and you're looking at it thinking, how did I ever feel this was the right fit? These energies at the moment are very, and I've pulled cards. I'm going to pull a ruin as well. Perplexed is the word that came to mind. Very coherent, very much in the comprehension that they're looking at the individuals around them. Almost very frustrated. I wouldn't say frustrated. I would say gobsmacked. Gobsmacked, perplexed, irrational, but also seeing that energy resonate inside them at a point in time and understanding how the heck they got there. Now, I'm going to look at the ruin. Oh, this one keeps coming up. Where's my book? I'm still getting to know these. Now, the crowning energy is the Chariot in reverse. Now, and it does make sense with the other cards, and I'll tell you why. I have pulled the outcome. I do feel for Divine Masculines, there are doors closing. Now, these doors that are closing, they did have the best intentions to bring everything a full 360. There are certain elements, which we all know as Divine Feminines, that there are certain elements that are coming through that maybe aren't teeing up, falling into place with all the good intentions to bring everything to a peaceful close, whatever that energy is. It just, there's blockages happening. Now, the blockages are happening to actually guide Divine Masculine onto the correct path. And it's almost like we say rejection is universe's protection. And that's sort of the theme that's coming through for Divine Masculines at the moment. So they may be taking this very personal. They may be operating through the third eye, trying to comprehend and understand. And they're deeply kind of flawed as to why these energies are not changing. So as I said, they've got the Chariot in reverse, like there's stumbling blocks. And this is where their mind's at the moment. They're really focused on, okay, universe is trying to tell me something here. X, Y, and Z isn't fitting. Through all great ability, hi beautiful, they've attempted to bring things in. It's almost like when we have this expectation that we need to come in correct, we need everything to be perfect, and we have this intention. I do feel Divine Masculines had really had that intention to achieve those targets, but I feel as they're moving through their path, they're feeling a little bit weary, and this can be fatigue energy, but it is because they're about to have a purge. So if Divine Feminines, you guys on the other side of the fence have felt quite fatigued, but maybe very unsettled, the third eye is very active at the moment, and I'll pull crystal cards in a sense of the chakra as well. Okay, yeah, very Saturn energy. It's funny they said that, with this. Now, the rune that masculines have is such. What it's linked to is fire. It's Noah, it's Saturn, it's black, which again, Tumbeline, psychic attacks, needing to be protected. The intent, ultimately, I do feel, was to make everything correct, whatever that be. Now, each masculine has their own path, their own karmic cycle. We all have karmic cycles. They can be interlinked, but they're also at a very spiritual level. In a sense of our blockages, we directly attract them. When we tap into the energy of codependency, enabling, victim consciousness, and we start understanding those areas, you're able to then do the inner work and healing yourself. But you'll see it naturally in a very synchronistic pattern. So, some twins will actually say, but potentially Divine Masculine doesn't know what this is. Do they need to know what it is? Yes and no, because energetically we each in our own spiritual way will learn different things that work for us, and it is a very personal. Nobody can ever make us do anything we don't want to do. So attempt not to look at the person from a perspective of healing. We can actually directly relate and look and say, hey, that's very adverse. I don't know if I'd want to be doing it. But each person has their own direct reasons vibrationally why they do it. Now, let me have a look at this further. Okay. Personal needs, self-preservation, and invention. Spiritual needs, deliverance from distress, self-mastery, transcendence. Their intent, like I said, is for the best. Their intent is to make everyone happy. And this has been a thing that's been coming up quite a lot. On the external, it's funny because the animal totem is integrity. Monkey see, monkey do, but it's more, hoping that everything is going to kind of balance out. The situation calls for adaptability and innovation, and it mentions it with the ruin. I feel initially whatever they've dealt with, what is really playing out on their mind, although they might have had the best of intentions, sort of understood what everyone's needs were, that can be lost in translation, especially since we're going to have Mercury going retrograde in Cancer, which is connected to family, home, other external situations, our belief systems, our paradigms that we were born into. A lot of these things can be coming up at the moment. There can be a lot of projection at the moment because we have the moon in Aries, and that then it's moving through to Taurus. When it does, it will feel more optimistic. We'll also be moving more away from the shadow energy of Venus, which can then lighten that energy to a degree. But definitely with the eclipse in Cancer, whenever I'm seeing the moon energy, which on both sides, both with the crowning energy of masculines and the potential outcome, and everyone can change our outcome, it does dictate down to, how we're applying our energy, how our belief systems and our purging's going, and how we transform. Hi, Dale. So on both sides, the moon's coming up. It's in reverse. So another synchronistic message that's coming through is we are moving into the eclipse in Cancer. And very much moon energy does link into 4th house placement, the zodiac sign Cancer. So I feel it's almost saying two things. At the moment, they're trying to meditate upon it, which is very healthy. They're also not wanting to bring your energy into the vibration of complication because they're seeing a flaw in a plan, and they're actually tapping into their creative source. They're tapping into seeing the truth of situations. They're psychically and energetically protecting everyone involved, and it directly comes through in the cards further down, and I can see why. With the lower frequency of why they've been moved here, and I do feel internally this is where it's taking all energies involved, which is spiritual needs, deliverance from distress, what is going to work, what is not, self-mastery. It's like, all of us collectively owning, where our wounds are, having compassion and understanding, but at the same time getting to a point where we're actually more in our empowerment energy and moving towards what is in our highest best path. So this is for all involved. Where they thought certain people were coming with them, they may not be. And it doesn't have to be 110%, but it will need for innovation and adaptability. And this could also be the mindset that Divine Masculine's taking, that they're feeling in order for certain individuals that they have attempted to make balance with, that it would now, and I do feel this is because they're seeing the truth of the situation in their own mind, is they're needing to protect themselves. And if this was in vibrational alignment, it would mean they were at that lower frequency. But whatever they're psychically, spiritually protecting themselves from, I'm not feeling it's from an ego perspective. I feel it's from a rational experience perspective. Now, we're moving into the first energy. They're looking back. And again, I do feel in the past, it's almost like they're having aha epiphany moments. They're having these psychic downloads as to what these things are. Now, they do have the Queen of Cups, but more so in the past position. I feel mentally they're thinking back to thoughts, words, things that people said. Collectively, we do have the energy of Pisces there. Let me have a look where for masculines it would be. Bear with me. Fourth house placement again, Pisces. We can tap into the Jupiter energy for masculines. With this, they're looking at their psychic energy. So they're tuning back into the psychology of situations, what home was like, where the spiritual energies were. None of us collectively are going to be beautiful in articulating our terms right now. So although I could energetically say to you, look, honestly, if you look at the astrology, we can be very abrupt, very sharp, very defensive. When we know that, it's similar to knowing, are we enabling a person? Does our belief system feel if we do X, Y, and Z, you can eliminate that cycle from their path and it will be gone, it will never be a problem again? No, not necessarily, because if the person hasn't spiritually come to terms with it, we're just delaying an inevitable truth that needs to be reached. And we could be extending that journey, not shortening it. So sometimes, knowing when and where, and pulling back and try, I can say don't take it personal, but until we've got that enlightenment energy where we've directly experienced it, we don't quite grasp that. They are directly attempting and maybe not articulating so, because they're very much in their crown chakra and third eye. They're being very rational, but there are triggers coming through. And as we always say, we do tend to be more harsh with the ones we love. And it's because we feel they have backbone. So feminines, if you're feeling that they're being abrupt, maybe, like you said, snappy, it can be due to the fact that they're trying to process something and they're feeling like they're under the pump with this. They're tuning back into everything, trying to make sense of it. And like I said, the first word that came to mind was perplexed, in a sense that they do know what takes them to their higher path. They also are tapping into these deep emotional waters. Potential, and I'm going to pull a clarifier. So now these energies might have been things they were directly connected to, and I will pull cards for them as well. Let's see what's coming up for this Knight of Cups. There is healing surrounding an emotional connection. Now, whatever that emotional connection was, it's, I feel, if anything, these cord-cutting energies of what they're walking away from isn't due to the fact that they're trying to be mean, trying to be lower frequency. They're seeing what doors are opening. And the doors that aren't opening, they're directly feeling quite frustrated, like it's punishment energy. Then they're moving past that And they're saying that, and this is where we learn lessons, that we learn what is for us and what's not. If you have gone back to the table, be it it's with a karmic partner, could be a job, could be a family, whatever that energy is, and you're trying to make something balance, maybe even from a pain body experience, because you feel energetically that healing isn't there. I do feel at an emotional level, they're seeing the contrast between what's healthy and what's not. With this, they want someone who has this very caring, understanding, compassionate energy, and I do feel this is for them. They're being very protective of feminine. I do feel they feel a telepathic connection with you. I feel they feel very nurtured and loved by you. They also feel more healing between you is absolutely necessary. And everything that they've been trying to do, they're wanting to make this proposal and do certain things, but they also are aware that the external and the doors that keep closing, they're attempting to balance. They feel like there's two ways the situation can go. Now, it may have been, and I'm not really feeling fence sitting, I'm feeling directly connecting energies in a sense, and it's very 8th house, it's an 8. 8th house is very Pluto, it's very Scorpio, so we can be looking at the psychology behind things, the reasons why things are happening. Venus being malefic, it does end up in the underworld. Now, through that process, it's almost like going into the deep, dark energy, wanting a very deep, deep spiritual connection, and also needing someone to be very consistent. I mean, when we talk about 8th house in astrology, it's where we are having mutual energies directly work and build with us. And they're saying that this is necessary. Whatever these hindrances are, and it could be fence-sitting energy, but I'm really not feeling fence-sitting energy. Finalization energies, balancing things out, tying up those loose ends. They're seeing two possibilities. And I'm going to pull a card for each possibility. Whichever these possibilities are in a closure sense, moving towards that, I do feel they're already planning or planned or have plans. This can be linking in with an ex. It can also be linking in with something that just is not healthy. Many of them are more tuning into the perspective. Hi, Dale, thanks for that. More from a perspective of, and look, all of you have very unique situations. I'm just really seeing in my mind's eye, it's like trying to tie up those loose ends to achieve their targets, and their intent is for a happy connection that's very balanced, very spiritually orientated. There are other energies at play, and in the heart, it's a total realization that, it could have been betrayals that occurred, jealousy, manipulation. Again, I'm really feeling there is some energies that potentially really trying to be in certain connections, in contracts, and they haven't really turned out the way they thought they had. And, when we are, and we deem it as a sleep, right? And when I say this, we were discussing karmic energy this morning. And all of you on your journey might get very angry at some point and say, why do we have to go through these ascension symptoms? Why is it that the karmic energies don't get calmer? Hi, Eddie. And look, the way I explained it to two people this morning, because they were, working through that blockage, the one way I actually articulated it is when you can understand a situation back in your life where you were on autopilot and maybe, now everything of what you've learnt, you've come to a space that you might have stayed in connections a little bit too long, or stayed due to fear-based frequency, or feeling that you didn't have enough control. Maybe in some connections you didn't feel enough, or you didn't feel attractive enough. Having that self-assurance coming from external, not coming from internal. These are things that we learn as we experience a blockage, get triggered, get sick of the fact that we don't want to experience that vibe, and do the inner work. When you're not aware that you were doing it, you're kind of on the aftermath of it, do tend to be your own counselor, and you do tend to actually look at how you're reacting to certain vibrations, and you'll have regret, remorse, integrity, try and work through that, even if it feels really hard. When you didn't know, you would have continued being the way you were for the rest of your life, thinking that was very natural, and everyone around you directly needed to change for you. When you're aware that you do actually have power, and power is a very interesting thing in what I'm explaining power is. Power is where it's a burden, okay? It's where you are actually saying to yourself, I may love this path, I may like this path, but I may need to get to a space where I have to say yes or no, and that could have a consequence. That's really where, and it may hurt to make those actual decisions. People that have karmic vibration, in a sense, and because we tag it, and it's a shame it's tagged, but it's so that we can understand what energy we're focusing in on. For people that have this, they have an inner child wound, and they have formed mechanisms to deal with situations to get what they want. If they were in awareness and they stood back, the way I described it is, when we're in victim consciousness and we're feeling we have to beg, it's like, and it sounds horrible, people will look at you like you're demeaning yourself. But when you're doing it, you actually don't know, because you're desperate. You're like, no, but I want you to love me. I need you to love me. You need to stay. And this victim consciousness energy comes in. But what they're not understanding is, would you ever want someone to be with you for your sake emotionally? And would you want to have to manipulate someone to stay with you? You're actually not having a real connection. You're lowering your standards, but it's because of the pain of childhood moving forward and the lack of tools to be able to actually look at themselves and go, how am I seeing myself, and how is the world actually seeing me? So, I would rather be me in awareness as a feminine that is trying to work through her wounds than go back to being the frequency of a karmic energy. And I think we all energetically have been there to a slight degree, probably not as toxic, but it would have been due to the fact that, those energies were, and trust me, I directly understand where karmics are coming from. Do I think it's hot? No, I don't. Do I think it's acceptable? Probably not. And I do feel they can do better, but until they have the tools, no, they can't. So sometimes putting it in the context is healthy, to look at that and have compassion for that individual, but not to enable, because it's not your job to enable and prevent tower moments from happening in their lives, nor to enable them to not transform and actually have to deal with their karmic frequency. So when you're trying to mark yourself against these individuals, rationally speaking, for people that do grow, they will never remain in these connections, because you do tend to get, and even karmics do this, you will get into a karmic relationship so you don't have to evolve. So you can avoid getting a career. So you can avoid actually dealing with your body image issues. So you can avoid maybe whatever it be. Okay? We all, to a degree, have always been there at some point. And then as we work on ourselves, we move through that fear-based frequency. And, it's very tough. It's hard work. I won't lie. And depending on what's happened to you at childhood, dealing with those childhood wounds is huge. It's very much empowerment. It's, your root, your foundation, the way in which you saw your childhood versus where you wish to get to. So what I'm seeing here is, at an initial stage, for those of you that may have a twin in a karmic connection, where they're at is, it was where they were at a certain point. So now, walking away from that, they have attempted at various intervals to close these cycles out. Compassionately, they directly see their old version of themselves in this person. They, through great adversity, have moved and are moving and ascending through it. However, the karmic energy isn't, which does mean they will be left behind. And it's not through mean-based frequency. It's through it doesn't resonate anymore. We do grow. And, my grandmother had the best saying, and it was, Yildiz, a person will either bring the best out in you or the worst. And that doesn't mean to say when you're having a trigger, it's not bringing the best out in you. It does mean it's helping you evolve. That doesn't mean that a painful situation isn't going to make you evolve. Something beautiful can come from it. So compassionately speaking, I do feel these masculines are perplexed. They're looking at it going, how did I not see myself in the mirror? And, we never intentionally go into any situation to hurt a person. We don't. Through victim consciousness, we can. Through guilt, emotions, fear-based frequency, codependency, can be addictions. We end up, sometimes if we haven't dealt with our wounds, we are children raising children. And that can be very problematic because we do need to look at our childhood wounds so we can actually be that higher vibration. We always are the inner child. But to look at it, and at this moon phase we're moving into, we do need to just step back and actually have that inner child moment and actually go, okay, what do I need? Aside from what society says, aside from judgments and projection, which a lot is going around at the moment because of the placements in astrology, if there's been cheating, adultery, confusion, connections, children, whatever this be, they're frustrated, okay? They're like, and I do feel they're feeling Divine Feminine's frustrated. But Divine Feminine has been through these processes herself, so she may have compassion towards these situations. But ultimately, I do feel they're seeing the light that it takes two to tango. Now, the two to tango energy can be whatever these scenarios are that they're tying out. There are doors closing that simply aren't working. You can't make Cinderella's shoe fit. And I'm not talking from who's the queen. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about trying to make a world come together. It takes a very unique family to co-parent. And that's for those of you, hi Andrew, who are co-parenting or bridging gaps or dealing with karmic partners, ending cycles, recreating new ones. These closing out of chapters can be deeply complicated. This fresh start is coming, okay? This is what they're needing in their heart and they know. So what their intent is they're fully having full intent in their heart at the very purest form to have a new beginning. They're really done with picking up pieces. They're done with people picking up their pieces. So if you're finding your 20 saying to you, no, I don't want you to help me, it's because they're owning their energy and they're doing it in a very unique way where 9 times out of 10 they will meditate upon this. If you're having no movement and communication, it's to protect you. It's not to drag you into the energy. By you directly moving your path and speaking your truth, you'll find this enables them to healthily decide what is correct for them without needing to be similar to a karmic of using tools to manipulate a situation. This is deep change. And again, it was funny because on the last video, which was linked to earth and fire for the eclipse, I did that video, I had to stop, and then I did air and water. Now, a lot of the astrology have been in those signs, and the video ended at 555. Now, 2 years ago, I was seeing a lot of 5 vibrations. Hi, Mark. And with the 5 vibrations, Mark and I were talking about it this morning. We were laughing our head off. If you're seeing duality of 5s, which the further into the journey you get, you stop seeing number synchronicities. I see them more from a perspective if I'm channeling energy, but for me on my soul path, which I do coaching energies based on this, you won't see them anymore. You'll see the 1400 and maybe 111. That's it. You won't see it. You won't tune into it. And I'll explain the reasons why. It's because you're no longer seeking outside of yourself. You are your internal compass. And you're moved into alignment of trusting and getting your connections from source. You're no longer in the energy of lying to yourself or saying, yeah, I'm not quite sure. I still need to get that sign. And that's where you get the bombardment. So yeah, you won't see numbers. Videos won't resonate with you. You might get to a vibration of being totally in alignment, of nonchalant and knowing, just an inner knowing. You'll see them, just an inner knowing. It'll be peace. Their energy with the 5s, 2021 is 5 vibration. I will do a video based on that. We're going to move along. 5's is huge change. And I do feel this could be anywhere from 5 years of trying to move through these changes. 5 individuals, 5 connections, but it's 5. In general, 5s ain't fun. This has not been fun. To get to where they are, it has not been fun. It's been hard yards. A lot of conflict. The direct foundation is there's too much conflict going on. You can't soar like an eagle when you're flying with turkeys. And the funny thing is I can say that because I'm part Turkish. I'm English, Irish, French, and Turkish. And I've probably got a bit of gypsy in me too. So I'm a bitzer, right? Yeah, I can't. This has been a very complicated foundation to operate from. So hats off to Divine Masculines. It's been very, very horrendous. They're perplexed. They're like, okay. It's a bit like saying, anyone watch Faulty Towers? You know when they've got the moose and the wife is saying, I want you to put the moose's head over there. And he's trying to move the moose's head and it's just everything's going pear-shaped. I used to laugh and say my dad was the chef. He was the, Manu. This intent was to just look best of intent to get everything done. But no matter what they've done, it's just been everything that has been moved and shifted has been for the bigger picture. But it just hasn't worked. A lot of clarity coming through. Trying to be fair to all. Now the foundation is, yes, adaptability in this energy needs to come. And I'm going to pull a karmic energy. Now the reason I'm saying this is because this situation is calling for adaptability and innovation. Now, their crowning energy is very Scorpio. Needing to investigate the situation further. What is dead wood? 8th house is, it's births, deaths, endings, it's legacies. It's who's working with me? Who's against me? Black tourmaline, onyx. Black gems generally are connected to psychic attack, spiritual warfare, what we're fighting for, alignment energy. They've got a lot of Pisces energy coming here, seeing a lot of delusions. I feel with Neptune going retrograde, they're going to see a lot of this. The grand plan has not worked. Crowning energy. Doors are closing. The reason is because it was not for the higher good. Maybe it was not for the individual's higher good. There is something at play in this situation. The foundation is coming down. Other people potentially may not want this, but I am feeling as though it is external. Now let's see the karmic energy. Yes, okay. Having to make a judgment on this. I do feel they were hoping. Oh God, that's a bit of a worry saying that there. Okay. Let's see what's coming through here. For the karmic energy. Oh, bam. No wonder I've been saying white light yourselves. Okay, there's a bit of snooping going on here. There could be a bit of spying. There could be a judgment is coming. There could be a legal paperwork, a contract. But I'm just getting the vibe snooping. Potentially acting like there's balance. But something's going to be a wake-up call to these karmic energies. I do feel it's, again, I would say, I'm going to find a... Okay, let me pick a ruin for them. In the reverse situation, I do feel they were aware of you, feminines, because they have the High Priestess energy. And I think this is taking them back down memory lane now. Initially, I do feel they were looking at you like you were just another roll in the hay. Just another female. Probably, you get my gist, okay? They do have this awareness of your energy, potentially even attempting and thinking that this was their energy. Some of them may have been even confused as to position, authority, energy. There's been a lot of conflict here. Okay, this has been clash of wills, conflict, adversity, differing opinions, picking in the middle energy, I'd say. I don't feel they're an awareness that this is where it's placing the energies of individuals. And again, it can be linking in with 5 energies around you. A lot of jealousy. I'm telling you, there's a lot of third eye energy coming through, but it's a lot of ego. It's spiritually trying, and I'm almost feeling. Where's my phone? I can hear it. That'd be right. Mark on point. Guess who's calling now? I'm telling you, Cancer eclipse is going to be interesting. Me daughter. I can't talk while I'm working, sweet. I'm feeling like they're meditating upon a tactical plan. Again, as I mentioned, if you're a karmic energy and you're watching, meditate upon how you see this in the bigger picture. Is this going to be a balanced situation for you? Are you delaying something? Are you avoiding something? And I'm getting an energy where you're really wanting what this is, and there can be a trigger point coming up here. Now, I'm going to pull the ruin and see. I pulled the ruin. I'm going to look for it in the book. Now, you're hiding something in your heart. There's something that you've hidden, or something that emotionally is hidden from you. I feel this is very superstitious energy. You feel that they're avoiding you. Be it you're with them or not. I get this energy where you're feeling almost, if you move, if you go away, if you go into hermit mode, everything will be okay. And this energy of this beautiful light energy, maybe you saw them as, will come back in a very balanced way. Again, this is very financially driven, which can be quite codependent. Again, a lot of 9s, which is all financial. Looking at this from a very financial perspective. And Mark and I were talking about this again with the 9 energy. The 9 is very Jupiter energy. Again, in an abundance sense, it's not coming from a heart chakra sense. It's coming from a monetary sense, which is, it's not in alignment for you. Part of your energy and your soul path may directly be linked to your solar plexus and sacral chakra having an upgrade and actually achieving some of these things within your own energy and your power. And the reason this is happening isn't actually to punish you, but it's to give you a blessing and a gift back very separately inside yourself, not directly connected to a connection, which I can actually directly relate because I have actually spiritually gone through that myself. You know, many people that have this as a challenge can tend to actually achieve massive careers and great achievements, which can be more exciting than living at this level. So whatever these challenges are, it is to benefit you in the long run, but I don't feel you guys are seeing it this way. Let me pick the ruin. You have abundance. We are all abundant. Got to get a better name than Karmic, right? I'm trying to find this ruin, I'm telling you. My daughter's probably messaging me to go, Mum, I didn't make my lunch and I want you to transfer me money so I can rob your bank and go to the canteen. Oh, God, it's in reverse. Okay, Willow, Seal, Moon, Water. I'm telling you now, the eclipse is coming up. Okay, in the reversal, fear of change and procrastination. Fear of change and procrastination for the Karmics. They're delaying the inevitable, trying to prevent a judgment, connected in with divine feminine, trying to kick up a stink and create storms, driven through jealousy and ego, almost wanting, like I said, recalibrating, conspiring, maybe trying to hit the pay pack in the pay pocket. In the heart of it, Who is this connected to? Masculine. Driven by money. Wanting to have more freedom as well. It's a bit like K-Connected 2 energy. Hi, Andrew. Okay, foundation. Hearing things through the grapevine. What are you hearing, Karmic, through the grapevine? Don't believe everything you hear. It's called Chinese whispers, okay? It's like that for a reason. Unless it comes from the horse's mouth, don't believe everything. And again, when we do that, we're more focused on what other people are doing in their own lives than what's happening in our own. And things, you could have a pot on the stove, okay? And it could be burning. There's problems with doing that, especially us as, you know, energy workers. We do always need to kind of check ourselves and come back to this side of the fence, because we can be missing things that are right under our nose. Now, this is... I'm going to pull a clarifier on that. Oh. There's more than one person here, okay? I don't know who you're messing with, but I did mention this to Andrew the other day. I was like, karmic energy, the further you ascend, you'll actually see these shadow energies in many people. I hate to break it to you, because once you've started doing the work on yourself, you actually look like the square bear that doesn't fit, but you're noticing things more so you can sniff karmic frequency. And it's more from a perspective of honey to the bee, not wanting you to ascend. There's two individuals here, okay? And the energy I'm getting, there is more than one person working with the karmic. They got snoops out, okay? There's more than one person. Now, one is a bit fiery. I feel as though it's very Mars energy. One is a little bit, how would I put it? Ignorant. And I don't mean that from a, you know, a perspective of judgment, more kind of the energy that's coming through. It's like not really knowing the whole picture, right? So this is the card of innocence. This can be really maybe getting information out of other people without them being aware of it, acting like they're their friend, using them for certain things. Tactical connections can even be, oh God, it can be any which way. Like I said to you, there's thousands of TFs. So with this, I feel it's one war energy, a bit once bitten, twice shy, maybe 20 times over, because I get this is a negative card in this term, just because it's coming up on this side and it's directly at their foundation of who they're using to use this. Wanting to get dirt on masculine and his, you know, his whereabouts, what he's doing. This can be very stalking energy. There is a tactical approach and they're ready to make a judgment of how to apply that. So they're in the energy of this, but it is very karmic. Fears of change, not wanting this, trying to delay the inevitable. This can be a challenging ruin, indicating a strong test of resolve with no quick solution. It does indicate that you are possessed of a worthy vessel, however, so keep your nerve. Set a good course and all should be well. On an esoteric level, the casting of this ruin may indicate that the quadrant is to experience a great journey of the soul. Like this will not bode well for karmics. That's why I'm trying to be a light worker directly towards you, because I have been in your position. You don't want to do that to yourself. Okay? I'm moving on to the middle energy, and we're going to get into it. Overall, masculines have stepped back. That can be within the connection, surrounding connections, keeping busy, observing, perplexed, I'm hearing. Probably even shocked. Like, it's a bit like all energies involved, painting a synchronistic picture, moving towards it, then the map changes, then the map changes. You're going to become perplexed. You're going, okay, so is this for the warlike Mars energy, or was this for the direct reason you stated so? So it's very perplexed. Now, what this is going to create, and I do need, like I said, Karmics be watching. Deception's going to come to the forefront, and I do feel a lot of people are going to bring themselves under. This can be very damaging, and it is the laws of attraction in the universe. I have experienced this myself, and individuals, we do always get karma, good and bad. If it's that Justin Timberlake, what goes around comes around. Something is coming back around, and it can link in with the eclipse in Cancer. Like I said, I'm doing these reads at the moment to get the movement forward. Whatever this is going to force them to just not be interested whatsoever. Really seeing the critical truth, being very blunt. This can even trigger divine feminine to move into her energy and be very, very defensive. But I'm not feeling it's going to be positive. And I don't feel between the counterpart energies. I more feel towards adversities in general. And I will do a feminine read. This has been going on way too long, okay? This is masculine energies using their Jupiter energy, ascending, moving forward, looking at what they're needing to cut out of their life because they can't see it turning out the way everyone. Yes, it's a purge as well. It's disheartening. It's a letdown, especially if they've spent times on jobs, in family connections, with mother, father energy, with children, karmics, however that be. It's disappointing, but we can't make everyone happy. While people are working together in tribe mentality, yes, but for some, this direct outcome of what's stated here right now, the direct outcome is this is where it's taking it. It's taking it to the point where this is not a doable situation and it's going to be released. Yeah, over the top. It's to the point, it will be all or nothing. And I'm really feeling it's coming to a head. I don't feel this is boding very well at the moment for any karmic energy of a lower frequency. We are going to have Venus going direct. So any shadow that we experience during Venus, you'll find that we become deeply clear as it goes direct. Yeah, there's a lot of projection at the moment, so, you kind of get it. You can look at the astrology, you can tap into the energy. Schumann resonance has been spiking. If you're wanting a personal reading, you can go to the link below and I can tap into your individual energy and see what's coming up for you and your TF. At the moment, I feel it's very, very heavy. They're really meditating. I do feel, look, if you're feeling quite tired at the moment, give it about, I feel, under a week. Probably moving in even towards the eclipse. And I'm feeling as though the energy around that time will spike where, I just don't think I'd want to be messing with masculine right now. I just don't think I would. Don't test them. Nobody. This is not a good time to test a masculine. I don't think it's a good time to test a feminine either, but we haven't done feminines right yet. Any questions in the house? Yeah, I wouldn't be testing them. They're psychoanalyzing this entire situation. That would be the best way I could articulate it. Psychoanalyzing it, like dumbfounded, frustrated, perplexed. The hidden is going to be shown. Oh God, really? I'm telling you, Andrew, you start saying that, you'll stop seeing all the other numbers. You'll no longer be looking outside yourself. You will only see 111, 444, 4111, 4100, maybe ones, but that's about it. What should we expect on the Mercury retrograde? I feel emotions coming up. It's in the house of Cancer, which collectively is fourth house. It's home, family. I mean, the Sagittarius eclipse was siblings. We already saw that energy. At the moment, Neptune going retrograde around that time as well. It's going to be a time of us looking at our psychology. It is an important time to sit with our own energy and tap into what we need. It's similar to the Venus energy. You've got to look at it. When we have a Venus retrograde, it becomes a very personal thing. We may be looking at it from the romantic connection, but it's how do you look at romance? You know, we're not robots. We each individually have perspectives, all of us collectively. So if I was to say Venus retrograde, am I going to have a great relationship? It takes two to tango, right? So I need to tap into my energy. Have I changed? When we change, can people come with us? Some can, some can't. It's a special time we should be. And the more you look at yourself, the better connections you will have. So Mercury retrograde in Cancer, depending on the house it's falling, it will amplify that placement. And I did the eclipse in Cancer. So those energies I mentioned in the videos, it would be a good time to do some nurturing, to do some meditation. It could be something at a very spiritual level on the internal. And I was mentioning to Mark, you know, I'm testing it at the moment to look at the Leo placement because we're having a bit of a debate over this. With the Leo placement, to me, it's the external world. And the eclipse has sun and moon energy. Personal charts, yes. Collectively, I'm going to test it and I'm looking at it. Can something on the external world trigger that? I feel yes. So we shall see, Mark, right? Intuitive perceptions. Our debates about astrology. Good time to meditate. You know, charge your crystals. The houses I mentioned in the eclipse videos that I recently did, if you look at those, they will hold true for 6 months. So, you know, all the eclipses, you pretty much, the videos I've done on those, hold them, save them in a folder, go back, write them down if you have to, just the placement, look at it, and you'll see synchronistic patterns coming through. Now, we were also talking about the fact that, you know, channels growing. I've had this, God, for how long? So many, probably 20 years. I've never worn it because it would open. Now, I've got crystals that I can put in it for chakra. So I have base chakra in it at the moment, and I've had to use a staple to kind of weld it around because the little latch doesn't close and I don't want to lose it. So I have my little pendant. I've got my base chakra in it because we've got so much. And look, family connections at the moment, if you're having lower back and things to that degree, you're going to have some issues with your base chakra, right? Because we've got the Cancer eclipse coming. So if you've got triggers and it's Mercury energy, it's conversations, some wounds can be coming up. You could hear news. You could be siphoning through paperwork. Better to be silent than arguing. I'm telling you. With these energies, if you feel triggered, imagine that. And if we can't gauge our emotions, and that's why it's so very important. We can take it very personal, but we need to look at it and go, would I project at that person? Would I be at the best where I could have the most success out of this moving forward? Can they magic wand to me and just fix what I wish? You know, a lot of my healing come through on my own. And I did realise, I mean, people can come back and say sorry, but can you let it go? And if you can't, well, it doesn't really matter if they come back and say sorry, whatever that be. Sometimes, you know, a good hug's in order, I feel. Oh, it could be me. I hope it's not. I'm telling you, Mercury retrograde. Plus, we've got the nodes in Gemini, which is Mercury for almost 2 years. Crack. Any other questions? Reminds you of the necklace of Lord of the Rings. Yeah, I say that all the time. My precious. My precious. Yeah, it's true, Mark. It's good. Look, union energy is hard work. I won't lie to you. If we have wounds, let's just be rational. In any traditional connection, if you have a wound or there's been, you know, things, you're working together. It's a mutual decision to move together. It's a mutual decision to move past the adversity, past the past, attempt to do the very best to make peace with things and move forward. And that can be for all involved. sometimes all may not want to be involved. I know. Yeah. Oh, mine was over 20 years, man. On, off. And I was like, what is this? This is crazy. And you have to be in your life. You've got to be in alignment of, okay, what's happening in my life? Am I ready for this? Am I not? Am I ready for a connection in general? We're not prisoners. Initially, it does feel like that because it's this psychic energy. And you will trigger each other. You don't have to have the connection. Spiritually speaking, when you're healing, it comes into your life to really give you a good shove because you're meant to upgrade. So it depends on what your vibration and your soul contract is. Many of you, yes, you can have union. You can, 100%. Your blockage will be internal of the direct delay. Yeah, it's like this let go. It's just not happening. It's like letting go is just being present, letting go of the wound, letting go of trying to understand when it's coming, how it's going to be. You'll just feel peace. Yes, readings help, and they can help unblock you too. But it's something that happens in an alchemy energy of, it's inside you. It naturally happens. We can help you get there, but it's hard work to do that. It does get there though. Is it common to not want to help, but to know energetically you are there and that makes the difference? I actually found the further into my ascension I got, they ascended further by me not tapping into them. It would because there was attachment of me maybe having an egoic belief or a necessity for things to be a certain way. And I actually found my ascension symptoms did become worse when I tuned out, but the ascension helped quickly. The weight gain is a sign that you no, not at all. It can usually be because you're moving into it. Blockages can come up spiritually, though. I found with my weight gain over the years, and I can actually vouch for this 100%. A lot is talked about in diet, nutrition. So some people might say that their blood group needs meat. Other blood groups do this or that. And then we get down to psychology. It is psychology. Some things can be allergies, yes, and there's always the medical realm of things. But for me, there was a point where I was exercising 3 hours a day. I was eating like a rabbit, and not 1 kilo dropped off me. When I started purging, I found that literally 40 kilos. Now that's for, obviously the Australian. I don't know how many pounds that would be, but it would just initially, it wasn't moving, and it was 3 hours a day. Then I shifted it around and I created more balance, and I no longer looked at the weight. I looked at anything that came up energetically, and as it would be released, it would just flush. Lower chakras are your direct foundation. It can be linked in with your inner child wounds, your creative energy. Again, when you're being, there was a YouTuber the other day and they were talking about alchemy and manifestation, which is another video I'm going to be doing to do with manifestation. You will reach a point you won't do that anymore because you have always been manifesting. Initially, from a belief, you tend to, through a pain body experience, manifest the negative elements. But you also synchronistically, there you go, thanks Mark, in alignment energy, when you think of something, let it go, it's like this inner knowing. It's the same as what can happen with twin. When it's ready and you're detached and you're like, I know it's going to happen, it comes. Then you understand a third stage, which is, why would you need to do either one of those things if you're in alignment? Because everything that is naturally meant to happen, you have all the tools inside you, you will no longer manifest because you'll accept what life gives you. So it's your individuality then. You're at peace with that. You don't need that. If it's destined for you to be loaded, you will be loaded. If it's destined for you to live in on Es Rock, which you can't now, but you get my gist. You grasp the concept. Everything is divinely guided, and it's trusting in your soul journey. So you stop doing that. You can do a super chat, sweet. What would you like to know? Yeah, it's like you just stop because you understand that everything is divinely guided and some things do need to happen in a certain way. So you'll even see when you may be in an egoic way of looking at something and it needs to happen a certain way. And, especially if you're dealing with something and you're going, the doors, especially for masculines in this direct situation, it's like I do feel they're perplexed because they're like, nothing they've done's worked and it seems all these doors suddenly are closing. It's usually universe's way of saying that's not going to work. We're sorry, it's not in your best interest. What would you like to know, beautiful? And that doesn't mean no forever, but it means right now that's just not going to work. It's not where your soul path is. It's not what universe, and look, it's far be it for us to completely know what that is. Whatever that is, it's the universe's way of correcting situations. And I did tend to find that with tower moments, 9 times out of 10, it was the catalyst to that change, which is really the 5 vibration, is that when those things fall to oblivion, we then rebuild, don't we, in a more educated format, which is quite unique that we've got the nodes in Sagittarius and Gemini. It's synchronistic what we're going through. What do you want to know, Dale? Is the chat working? That would be my luck. What would you like to know, KR? I'm getting tension here. I don't know why. Coming up to 28 years on this roller coaster, trying to disconnect and work on my relationship with son's dad. Can you tell me about TF? I feel. Okay, now this is the one synchronistic situation that happens in all twin flame journeys. Is your twin in a karmic connection? Can I ask? And this is from tuning into a lot of twins and looking at my path. I'm like, this is horrible. But I'll give you a tip. And it's not right, wrong. It's just, it's what can spiritually happen. Okay. Now, what I found was energetically, as feminines, we're doing soul work, we're doing the Ascension, we read what's on YouTube and Google and get all this information. A pattern in which I have lived and seen, as well as with my clientele, which is my coaching session I do, you will always find the blockage is right under our nose. And we don't actually quite grasp that the mirror's there. Generally, in a spiritual level, we may not have made peace with the situation with the person and had guilt connecting to it. It can polar opposite, it'll swap, right? And this is what I found, and I was like, it was right under my nose the whole time. When you write down what your belief systems are of what your twin needs to work with, go away for a day, step back and write down your side, how it relates. You will directly see a mirror in your life if you're aware. Now, what happens with masculines, theirs will happen in the 3D. So they'll have a physical energy there. Yours initially will be on the internal. Did I do enough? You've got to sit with yourself for a moment and say, number one, when we're thinking of 2 people, we're not ready for any connection because we haven't actually made peace with it. You're in a better position right now to be open to address that. Venus hasn't directly gone direct. While you're assessing it, it may look like the most rational decision to make. It might look like, okay, society says, I have a child with this person, this is the correct connection for me. My child deserves to have a happy home. With the mother-father energy, it's simple. It's assured. It's so. But is the vibration there? Alignment in your life is we don't owe anyone anything. We can't make children's lives perfect. Everything we endure helps them grow spiritually. And some of these things, I'll be honest with you, look at Eminem. If Eminem did not have, and it's funny because he's a Libra, Mark and I were laughing about this. I'm like, how many Librans? Because I was tuning into celebrities because I can read energies and pictures and faces. So, with Eminem, he started off in a caravan park, lived in the hood. You've seen him transform through his life. And there's many people that do this. Through great adversity, they take the challenge and they have to keep leveling up, right? You honestly, through the process, do grow. So, in theory, he came from humble beginnings, but it hasn't affected him any. That may have been connected to his life path. We don't know. So, your child and their life path, they've chosen before they've come here. So your belief system and your connection can be linking with your childhood, and you're looking at it and you potentially could be going, hey, and this could be linking to you or child. It doesn't have to be that that's so, but if that is, have a look at that and just sit with the energy and go, am I doing this for my child? Am I doing this due to my conditioning and my fear-based frequency? Or am I doing this because I'm in love with this man? But if you are thinking about twin, it doesn't matter if we have the tag. Being fair to yourself will be stepping back right now and using that meditation and going, okay, why are these things coming up? What do I want for me? What is going to be the best for me? And no shade on whatever that is. That can be soulmate energy or twin flame. Now, even if your twin flame is in a connection, you can still speak with integrity and respect without acting like a karmic. You can directly reach out to the person and say, look, I have had feelings for you for many years. I have absolutely no intention or disrespect towards the connection you're in. I needed to, for me, speak my truth before I move forward. And then you're holding integrity. You're not doing anything. There's no intimacy. There's no malice intention. You are being respectful towards yourself in order for you to reach a closure point, and then doors will open. Doors don't tend to open when we're on the fence, and you'll find no movement happens when we're healing and we're on the fence. But making a statement is a statement. It's not an expectation. It's not, I expect you to, now that I've told you I am being like human. Yeah, Snoop Dogg as well. I was like, yeah, man. Us Librans. Love Snoop Dogg. Love Snoop Dogg. Does that help? I did find, though, when I was spiritually blocked with mentally trying to understand something, usually twin was blocked at the same time. And once I reached that kind of closure point, everything moved. And it's a soul contract between the two energies. I think I'd rather chop my foot off. Okay, if I told you tomorrow the world was going to end, would you do it then? Would you be happy to go for your entire life if you had power to do what you feel you need to do? Or are you waiting for it to come to you? Because the thing is, we can't ever blame another person and live in question if we won't directly own our power. So we talk about the masculines ascending, but it does come down to us as well. This tit-for-tat energy of who's going to call who, you'll come to a peaceful space with that. And at some point you'll go, okay, am I going to challenge that and it's not to say you have to. It could even transform it. But if you haven't heard for 28 years, sitting here in the stagnancy is problematic. If you have, it's different. But if you haven't and your mind's still there, you might as well have, because you've been thinking it for 28 years. Does that make sense? It's like, we do have control in our lives to take direct action and make conscious choices, and so do they. But we don't have control of what they do. But energetically, blockages will be purged at the same time. So if you're holding on to something and you're making peace with a direct situation or trying to make a decision, you will synchronistically see twin is doing the same thing in the direct 3D. You're doing it internally, they're doing it in 3D. When they're doing it internally, you're doing it in the 3D until you balance out and you're completely mirroring. That tends to happen when we're not ready to own our power. When the blockage is too great, there won't be correct movement and it will look real low frequency. You'll think there's no possibility of transformation. But when you're in alignment energy and you're no longer operating from codependent frequency, runner chaser, you're facing your fear-based frequencies, you're continuing to act presently and you're moving forward, you're also doing only what makes you feel comfortable without shading yourself, you have more alignment energy and you'll find it won't be the same. And I can tell you, like a complete 900-degree flip from where Twin is to where Twin was 2 years ago. Probably in his whole life, a very, very different person. So people that were relating to him won't be able to relate to him because he's not the same person anymore. All of what I learned in a very karmic sense, connected in with that twin flame path, had to be unlearned because he no longer was the same person. So those ways that were are no longer again. It serves a purpose because you see correlating energies and you see how each other relate, but it won't be the same when you come into union with self, duality of owning your power and moving forward. But if you can move that energy blockage and make a decision on your side, you'll see movement on that side. But you also need to be open to trusting. There is risk in any connection we go into. And if you can actually look at life that way, the person that you are moving towards, you also do have a risk with that person too. And if it's spiritually not meant to be for you, you know, situations can happen with soulmates. It happened with me. They're human as well. Vibrationally, it looks more pleasant, but it doesn't mean to say that it remains that way. Does that make sense? I mean, I did meet the most wonderful person, which I hold in the highest of regard. But if you want to call warning signs from the universe, there were warning signs everywhere. But it wasn't anything to do with the human being. It was just synchronistic signs, limo breaking down at the wedding. Blockages in the path, left, right, and center, adversity. It was like, oh God, what is this curse? Yet the most beautiful energy. And things, if they're not in alignment for you, rejection is the universe's protection. So adversity comes for a reason. It's for you to grow. It's not for you to disregard human beings in a sense. It's for you to comprehend and grow. And nobody ever leaves any situation without gratitude after the fact. Yeah. So what I found was once I actually owned that, and situations inside my soulmate energies and karmic relationships would trigger me to a point I had to address my blockages. So you can't avoid it. If you're a twin flame energy, these adversities will come to you until you challenge those pain body experiences. So my highest advice is always dig into those things ASAP. Have a look at those things that have been synchronistic patterns. And once you can actually look at them and address them, you won't get that karmic frequency coming towards you. You'll be like, it won't control you anymore, so it won't be attracted to you. Yeah. I feel you, girl. Anyway, I'm going to love and leave you. Thank you for liking the video. Thank you for your kind donations and your subs. If you do want coaching, me to tune into you, look at your astrology, energy, book a reading, it's very simple. It goes through the steps. You can book any day of the week. Video, Skype, telephone, email. And it will give you a confirmation and it will give you a reminder, and I will see you on the other side. Bye, guys.